Lia Tortilla presents.
Hey guys, it's me, Lia Tortilla, and welcome back for another tasty treat. So today I've been rummaging around my freezer and I found some leftover roast turkey from Christmas. So I'm going to show you what you can do with your leftover turkey meat that hopefully you stuck in the freezer, because it'd be a bit off by now if you hadn't. But yeah, we're going to be making a turkey and ham pie. We're going to start our turkey and ham pie first by making our pastry. And yes, this can easily be done by hand, but luckily for me, I got a mixer for Christmas, didn't I? So we're gonna use my mixer. So over here we have my beautiful new mixer, and we're going to add 225 grams of plain flour and a pinch of salt. Once you've added that, we're going to add 100 grams of fresh from the fridge, cold, unsalted butter. I'm just gonna put that down and add the guard so that flour doesn't fly everywhere, and then turn it on and mix it until it turns into fine breadcrumbs. So if you were doing this by hand, you'd be rubbing it gently with your fingers until fine breadcrumbs. And when your mixture starts to resemble fine breadcrumbs, we're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of cold water. So once your dough has started to come together, you just want to gently squish the mixture together with your hands so that it all forms one piece, like gradually. And if you think your mixture's too dry, you can always add just a splash more cold water. Okay, so our dough has started to come together properly now, so we're just going to gently flour our surface and place our dough ball onto that floured surface, and we're going to knead it gently and briefly before letting it rest in the fridge. So that's my short crust pastry dough, gently and briefly kneaded. So I'm just going to wrap it up in cling film and stick it in the fridge to rest for up to an hour. So let's start on our pie filling. So for our pie filling, I'm gently going to melt this block of unsalted butter. And to my melting block of unsalted butter, I'm going to add 3 cloves of chopped garlic. And now that my block of butter is almost completely melted, I'm going to add 2 finely sliced leeks. Now notice, I'm not adding any onion into this, and that's because the leeks give off a subtle onion flavour that's just as nice. I'm just going to stir those leeks in. Now, once your leeks have started to sweat down and they're cooking nicely, we're going to go ahead and add some flour, because we're going to make a roux, which is what thickens the sauce. And you want equal quantities butter to flour, so I added 250 grams of butter, so I'm adding 250 grams of flour. So add that, and then you want to mix this in really well until it starts to form a paste. And that paste is the roux. Right, now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Lia, what the hell? That doesn't look like a sauce to me. It just looks like one big clumpy mess. Well, yeah, that's true, because now we need to add the liquid to it. To start, we're going to add slowly, bit by bit, gradually, 1 pint of chicken stock. You pour a bit in and give it a stir. And then you continue to repeat the process until all your chicken stock is gone. Make sure during this process that you've got this on a low heat, low and slow. Slow and steady wins the race, that type of thing, you know. So you see it has started to form this mass. It's alright, we're going to add milk now. Just like we did the chicken stock, we're going to do the same with our milk. Bit by bit, gradually and slowly, pouring and stirring until our flour cooks out and we are left with a beautiful white sauce. I mean, as always, clearly I started with a pan that was far too small for the amount of food that I am making. So you can see I've switched pans like I always do, and I have this beautiful, rich, creamy, delicious white sauce, which I'm going to keep here on a low to medium heat for around 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to keep stirring it until all that flour is cooked out. But I also am at this point going to add some salt and pepper to stop our sauce from being bland. See that good old stir. I am also going to add a teaspoon or two of whole grain mustard just for a bit of extra flavour. Remember to keep stirring, you don't want your sauce to stick to the bottom of your pan and burn. So while your white sauce is over here doing its thing, cooking through, we've got a pan here filled with some oil. It's nice and hot, and we're just going to saute off some mushrooms. Gonna add some salt, a little bit more. We can do the same. Add some pepper. Make sure these are nice and golden before we put them into our sauce. So once you've sautéed your mushrooms and they're this lovely golden brown colour, we're just going to go ahead and throw them in our sauce. And then here in this bowl I have cubed up my turkey meat that I had in my freezer. And it was already roasted, so if you were going to do this pie and use either chicken or turkey and you're going to start it raw, then I advise you roast off your breast meat or whatever meat it is first, and then let it cool down and chop it into cubes before adding it into your pie mixture like I'm going to do now. And then here in this bowl I have cubed up some freshly cured cooked ham that I actually borrowed from work, so thanks guys. And we're just going to add this to the pan. So because clearly I made far too much mixture, I've separated it into two pans. So we're just going to bring this up gently to a simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're going to take it off the heat and add our tarragon. So what I did here was I gently brought them up so they started to bubble just slightly, and now I've given them a stir and I've turned the heat off, and I'm going to add some freshly chopped tarragon. You always add your fresh herbs last. So now we have to let our pie filling cool completely before we go anywhere near our pastry. With the filling, that is. Let's go ahead and line our pastry cases. All I've done here to prepare my pie dishes is brush them gently with butter and then top them with flour, which I've tapped gently all on the inside of the pie dish to ensure that the pastry doesn't stick and our pie will actually come out of the case. So what I'm going to do now is take my pastry out of the fridge and roll it out, and I'm going to line each of my pie dishes with the pastry. If you want to see how to do that more in depth, then you can go and watch my apple pie video, or you can go and watch my lemon meringue video, or any other video that I've done that involves pastry, because I'm not going to bore you with that now. So come back in a second and these will be lined.
So this is just a little clip of me rolling out the pastry that I made by hand, just to prove that I didn't use shop-bought pastry for my pies.
So there we go. You've seen me rolling out my pastry, and here are my lined pie dishes. That's the word. Now that I've lined my pie dishes with my pastry, I'm going to fill them right up to the top with the filling, and I've rolled out some extra pastry for the lid. So our filling has completely cooled down now, so I'm just going to grab a really decent spoonful and spoon it in to my dish. Make sure that you get plenty of sauce and plenty of meat so that it's not more of one or more of the other. You want a nice amount of each. So if you have to do this with a slotted spoon, then do it with a slotted spoon. But yeah, I'm just going to fill that in, pack it right in, pack it right up, whatever. And my oven is on 180 degrees, preheating. So make sure now you do yourself a little egg wash. Then we're going to gently egg wash the pastry rim. As you can see, make sure you get quite a bit on there so all the pastry sticks to each other when we add the lid on. Nice and glossy. And then here I've got my pastry for my lid. I'm just going to place it on top, squish it down, make sure that it is touching the bottom. Then with a knife I'm gently going to trim off these edges. And then we're gently going to crimp the edges of the pie so that the lid stays on and the pie is one. We're going to add our egg wash on the top for that nice glaze that it's going to give our pie when it comes out of the oven. Just look at how neat and tidy they look. Absolutely beautiful. Now I'm just going to add a pinch of salt and pepper to the top of these before we place them in the oven. Now we're going to pop these babies in the oven at 180 degrees for around 25 to 31 minutes. You're basically just cooking the pastry and heating up the filling again. But yeah, we'll see when they're done. Also, if you don't have the time to make your own pastry, then don't worry, you can always use store-bought. I even took the time to make this really big pie with store-bought pastry because I didn't make enough of my own. But yeah, don't be ashamed. The filling's just as good homemade. When your golden and delicious pies come out of the oven, make sure you let them cool down completely before removing them from their dishes. Unless you're going to serve them straight away, then just be really careful because they are very hot. And all you have to do is gently run a knife around the edge of your dish and then very gently tip the pie out into your hand and then back onto a plate. But I'll show you that once these have cooled down. Okay, because I'm really impatient, I'm just going to go ahead and be really careful and show you now. So here I have a butter knife. I'm just going to slide it gently in between the edge of the pastry and the dish. You see it's starting to come out loose. And you just want to do that all the way around, okay? Then Let me grab a plate. I'm just going to gently tip the pie out of the case, like so. Put the case down and pop it onto a plate. There you guys go. You've got your turkey, ham, mushroom and tarragon pie. Doesn't it look absolutely delicious? And it's so cute. And then all you do to get it ready to reheat it and serve it for dinner is grab yourself some greaseproof paper. You're going to place the greaseproof paper in your pie dish. You're going to grab your pie and gently settle that back in there. And then you place the pie in the microwave for 2 minutes to heat the inside, and then you're going to pop it in your oven at 180 degrees for 5-6 minutes or so until you're happy your pastry is nice and crisp and you're happy that the filling is hot. And then serve it with whatever you want. Tonight I'll be having these pies with mashed potatoes, spring greens and broccoli, but like last week I'll show you a clip of that just at the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I know that it's not exactly a healthy dish, but it's warming and it's very cold outside, so you know what, just put some fluffy socks on and dig into your pies. And hopefully I will see you next week for another tasty treat. See you later guys, bye!
And here we go, just as I promised. This was my dinner, the turkey, ham, leek and tarragon pie with spring greens and mashed potato. Decided against the broccoli in the end, thought it'd be too much veg. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give this video a like, give this video a share, leave me a comment. I love to hear what you have to say. And if you really like what I do, subscribe to my channel and I will see you next week for more tasty treats. This has been Lia Tortilla.